Okay, AP Stats, today we are going to start with confidence intervals. So one sample proportion, Z confidence intervals. Okay, so here we want to predict the proportion of Lindbergh students who score above a 26.1 on the ACT. Here's our scenario. We went out and we selected 35 students and found their ACT score. 70% scored above the Missouri state average. Find a 95% interval for the true proportion of students who score above a 21.6. So in our 35 students, we got 70% scoring above the state average. But what I want to know is, give me a range. I'm pretty sure our students, this percent of our students, or this range of our students, score above a 21.6. So here we go. We know our N is 35 and our P hat is 0.7. Assuming we don't know anything about the population, because then why would you need to take a sample, we're going to create a 95% confidence interval. So since we don't know P, we don't know anything about P, we're going to use P hats here. Okay, so we're going to find the standard deviation of P of our sampling distribution, but we're going to estimate using P hat. So we're going to do 0.7 times 0.3 over, not n, over 35, square rooted. And we get 0.077. Now, why can we use that formula? Well, we can only use that formula if we believe that the population of all Lindbergh students is greater than 35 times 10, so 350, which we do. So we want to write that down. Population of all LHS students is at least 10 times 35, which is 350. Okay, so that's why we can use that formula. Okay, since 95% of all values fall within two standard deviations, find the 95% confidence interval. Well, this only happens in a normal distribution. So how do we know that this is a normal distribution? Well, so we're going to say that the sampling distribution is approximately normal because and this is where we have n times p has to be greater than or equal to 10, and n times 1 minus p has to be greater than or equal to 10. So n times p greater than or equal to 10, and n times 1 minus p greater than or equal to 10. So we have 35 times 0.7, which is 24.5. which is obviously greater than or equal to 10. And I don't know why that 4 won't write, but we're going to move on. That should say 24.5. And then we have 35 times 0.3, which is greater than or equal to 10, because 35 times 0.3 is 10.5. So barely, but 10.5 is obviously greater than or equal to 10. So we can say it's normal, and therefore we can use two standard deviations on either side. So if a standard deviation is 0.077, then we can take our average of 70%, and we're going to add two standard deviations to get the right side, and we're going to subtract two standard deviations to get the left side, and that'll give us a range of values. So we're going to have 0.854 as our top range of values. And 0.546 as our lower range of values. Okay, so that's a 95% confidence interval. Okay, if we look at a sampling distribution, we have 0.7 in the middle, and we went two standard deviations on either side to get our 95%. So, Keep track of the conditions or assumptions that must be met. We had this right here, and we had this right here. Complete the sentence. I'm 95% confident that the true population proportion of LHS students who score above a 21.6 on the ACT lies between 54.6% and 85.4%. Okay, so that's how confident I am. And then, of course, our 70% we got is the center of that range of values. And here we have, this is the formula we used to do that. We had our statistic, which was our p hat. We have this critical value, which in this case was 2. That's the number of standard deviations from the mean that you are. And then we had the standard deviation of the statistic, which is our standard deviation formula, but using p hat. So that's the formula that we used. So now I want you to create your own interval. So imagine you found your own p hat, and you're going to select a p hat based on your last name. I want you to create your own 95% confidence interval. Make sure you come in with this tomorrow, because we're going to use this to increase our understanding of confidence intervals. So if your last name is something that starts with a Y, then you would fall here in this category, and you're going to choose a p hat somewhere between these two values, like 0.71, or whatever the case may be. It doesn't have to be in the middle, just somewhere between those two values. And then you're going to use this formula or this process here, which are obviously the same thing, to come up with your own interval. You should come in tomorrow with an interval ready to go. And then we will put those all together and take a better look at confidence intervals. See you tomorrow.